So if I were a buyer and I were just starting to consider buying a house, what would be something that you would recommend that just I absolutely had to know this? What would it be?
That you don't have to have a down payment.
Okay.
That there are options out there. And get with a lender. Figure out where you're at credit-wise, because that's going to be the biggest component as to whether we move forward now or if there's some additional work that needs to be done and what we need to do to get to that point.
Okay. So if I were someone that maybe my credit weren't there yet, what would it look like moving forward?
So we kind of put a plan in place. We probably have a face-to-face meeting. That's my favorite. That's where we can really dive a little bit deeper. Maybe it has to do with some collections that are showing old collections. Maybe we've got a whole bunch of new debt and our credit hasn't had a chance to season and those scores aren't reflecting accurate information. So that's where I like to start, just so we can have a deeper look at what we might be able to do to get those scores in the right direction.
So if I were starting the process and I were going to start with you, have a conversation, what do timelines look like?
Timelines for the beginning to end?
Yeah, just walk me through some timelines, what I could expect.
Yeah. So once we have the conversation or we meet in person, then we're going to know, is it something that we're going to go out right now and start looking for a house? Is it something we need to work on, maybe our income or employment history? Do we need to work on our credit? But that first appointment or first meeting is where we'll set those expectations. If credit looks great, income looks good, 30 days, we're issuing a letter at that time and off you go, looking for a home. If we need to do some work on credit, it could be 1 or 2 months, maybe up to 6 months, but we can establish that timeline and set the proper expectations moving forward.
Okay. So is there something that I could do if I were a homeowner or if I were someone thinking about buying a home to speed up the process? Is there something that I could do to speed that up?
Sure. Getting with a lender, if you're interested in it, that's the first step. Having your credit pulled, having income reviewed. And I always tell people, once we do that pre-approval, it's good for 4 months. But basically all we have to do is update credit at that point.
So what would you say are some differences? So let's just say that I just started looking around and I'm comparing lenders, or I'm talking to some people about choosing a lender. What are some things I should be looking at when choosing a lender?
Choosing a lender is very important. It's just as important as when you choose your real estate agent. You want someone that you feel comfortable with, that's going to be available, and that's going to provide options. Not everybody fits in the same box. So, I could talk with 5 different people and they're not all going to fit or qualify for the same loan, or maybe there's other options that might better suit them. So someone that's going to be willing to offer some options and be available, that's the biggest thing. Someone that you can reach outside of normal business hours and someone you can trust.
So you mentioned similar to choosing a real estate agent. What would you say is important when someone chooses a real estate agent? What should they be looking for?
Someone that's got your best interest at heart. I think a lender and a real estate agent relationship is very important. Having a local real estate agent that knows the market, that has their finger on the pulse of what's going on, that's huge in my book.
Awesome. So Becky, what would you say is the biggest misconception about the process of buying a home?
That you have to have 20% down. That's what I get phone calls all the time that people say, now I don't quite have 20% down, but I didn't know if there were other options. The answer is yes, absolutely. As I've mentioned, 0 down payment to very little down payment. There's down payment assistance. There's 100% financing options out there. You don't know until you check on it.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand what you're saying right, if I were wanting to buy a home and I didn't have any down payment, there are options for me.
There are.
And if I were someone that maybe I needed to work on my credit, then Prime actually will help me with that. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And that if I only had nights or weekends available to meet, you would meet with me on a night or weekend?
We do. We've got an online booking calendar so that people can see when we're available, because they work just like we do. So we have extended hours outside of your normal business hours, nights and weekends.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing with us today, and thank you everybody for watching our video. And if you'd like to have a more personalized conversation about maybe what your plans look like in 2020 for moving, or just maybe what the process looks like, feel free to give me a call, email me. You can also reach out to Becky. Love to have a conversation with you about what that looks like. Thank you. God bless and have a great day.